Welcome back, everyone, and we are starting the topic about identify hazards in the unit WHS 401, and we have some points. For example, identify hazards, work systems, task environment, task demands, workplace culture and structure, risk assessment, risk analysis, risk evaluation, then, as usual, self-quiz. So we start with identify hazards, and what do you think about hazard and risk? Is there a difference or it is the same thing? Any idea? Different? They are different? Okay. Hazard is physical and you're asking could become a future hazard. Risk is something that could become a future hazard. Some inputs here. Risk is something incurred when doing an activity. Hazard is a problem that needs to be dealt with. Yeah, okay. Something causing harm versus the potential of causing harm. Okay. So we are getting some inputs here. Let's have a look and click. Risk is the chance of a hazard hurting you or somebody else or causing some damage. So, okay, this is the definition from the book. What about the hazard? A hazard is the thing or situation that causes injury, harm, or damage. So injury, harm, or damage, this is the risk. So the hazard can cause the risk. Good. Example, if there is some water spilled on the floor, this is a hazard. And what is the risk? This hazard could cause someone to slip and break his arm. So this is the risk related to leaving this water on the floor. Okay, I see some electricity cords under your desk. Is there a hazard? Yes, there is a hazard. This is a hazard, having these power cords or extensions under your desk. So what is the risk? Maybe when I play with my legs, I can have trip hazard, I can get electrocuted. So the risk of getting electrocuted, the risk of tripping, the risk of some water will spill and might electrocute or cause some other problems and issues. So the hazard will create the risk. Good. So hazards include any source or a situation with a potential for harm in terms of human injury or ill health. Okay. Damage to property. Damage to the environment, like bushfires. Combination of everything. So it could be damage, human injury, damage to the environment, and the property. Okay. Some risks. So examples for risks, we can have chemicals, like the chemicals you have in your laundry. It's better to have them at the top. So if kids visiting you, they don't play with these chemicals. Movement of heavy equipment, goods, even movement of vehicles, storage areas, some damage, packing material or containers could harm or hurt you or cause injury. Traffic itself, like someone driving fast in the parking area faster than 10 kilometers. Some inflammable materials, fire hazards like smoking inside campus. So this is a health and fire hazard at the same time. Waste management. Yeah. Kids driving forklifts. Really? Okay. Extremes in weather conditions. So it's too warm now, 39 degrees, 41 degrees. So dehydration could happen, or it could lead to some fire. We have fire ban. Some broken or damaged equipment. It could also create lots and lots of hazard. And this is the hazard. It could create some risks there. Lighting, floor surfaces, trip hazards, or slippery water hazards near electricity or also slippery floors. Waste management, and it could cause some problems. So we need site induction. Excuse me. So we, as discussed, we will have site induction. We will discuss that, and always there will be site induction, so we can identify hazards. So up high, obstructions, power lines, trees, scaffolding, cranes, overhead services. At eye level, hazards may include other workers, equipment, machines, hazardous material, obstructions, poor lighting. Down low, surface condition, spills, debris, underground services, weight bearing ability, trip hazards, and so forth. So we need to be aware, alert, and watch around us for any danger, especially in environments where lots of machinery there and lots of equipments there, like construction or hardware stores or different industries. Okay. Yeah, can you carry 20 kilograms, 50 kilograms, 100 kilograms? So yeah, okay. So also the forklift is the maximum of the forklift is 1 ton. Don't put 2 tons there. This will create, definitely it will damage the equipment. It could also damage or create hazards for human beings or property or environment. Yeah. So this is the hazard identification. And this is the first topic. Then we have here the different work systems. So as part of your hazard identification process, you will need to consider the focus and operation of work system and processes. Let's have a look what is there in this checklist. So documents describing how to tasks, how to do things, how to carry, how to store, how to retrieve, how to use. Different projects, inspections, jobs and processes are to be undertaken. So management systems like fleet management, procurement, design, and the quality assurance. So we need to have these systems in place for warranty purposes, for issue or issues log. So I can know this machine had some issues before, or this person had some issues before. So I can using these log files, these systems, this documentation to reduce the risk. Operation manuals, how to use this machine in a safe way. Policies and procedures addressing areas such as operations, maintenance, purchasing. You are not allowed to go there without PPE. So this is part of the policy. What is the type of PPE I need to wear and use? So it will be there in the policy. Also, it will be on the wall, so everyone can know about that. To remind them, we deliver training, we deliver instructions, and we tell them standard operating procedures, how to use things in a safe way. So these are the work systems. Task environment. So if we have biological, chemical, mechanical, electrical, psychological, and physical. When we think about hazards, when we think about risks, sometimes we think about the first three. We don't think about the other ones, or we think about few of these and we don't really think about others, but it's a good idea excuse me, to have a big picture. So biological hazards, bacteria, viral, blood contamination, waste contamination, fumes, and vermin, like what we were facing, like COVID-19. Some chemical hazards, substances, acids, poisons, toxins from fumes, cleaning fluids and gases. So some examples for each item here. Mechanical, electrical, power boxes, machinery, plant and equipment such as appliances, faulty switches, overhead wires, electrical or motorized tools, maybe even kitchen blender or microwave. Psychological, like workplace bullying, stress, anxiety, conflict at work, poor management. This could cause issues, of course. Under this stress, I didn't follow the correct instructions. I didn't notice this danger. I didn't react in a proper way. My anxiety increased, so I couldn't really act or react in a controlled manner. Many things. So psychological hazards are there. If you are working in a stressful environment, like for example, hospital, from my point of view, this is really stressful for me. I really can't work in a hospital. I'm giving just personal example here. Physical, also environment here, equipment you work with, even with the computers, there is hazards. There are some risks there, ergonomics, eye strain, many things. So environment around you, tools, objects, manual handling, ventilation, vibration, noise, traffic conditions, surfaces, personal threats, and more. Many things could happen and could be listed under the physical category. Did that make sense? Yeah, we have some examples there. Good idea to read them. I gave lots of examples already. Fire, heat, excavation, power out, static, electrical static, some fire, some shocks, some chemical reactions, temperature, hot or cold, many noise. So many examples there. So good idea to, when you review the topic, you read them. We covered everything here. Feel free to put your questions on the chat or unmute your mic. So task demands here. I need to do a task. My manager told me to move these boxes from place to another place because we are moving to a new building. So can I do that with myself? I need someone to help me. I need some trolleys, or maybe I need to move the smaller boxes, or just make them lighter, remove some items. So there are many things you can do with the task, but you need to assess the task before carrying it out. You need to think about this task and what you can do about this one. Machine pacing, arousal and alertness, physical or psychological demands, repetitive nature of task, required precision or accuracy. So you need to evaluate the task before doing it, not because your manager said so, you do it immediately. Maybe you need to assess risks related to these tasks. So we have some analysis. What could go wrong if I'm carrying heavy boxes in a wrong way, or I slipped or tripped on the floor, or what are the consequences? What type of hazards could happen? What could really contribute, or what are the other contributing factors? So I'm carrying a heavy box. So this is one thing. Second, I'm not wearing enclosed shoes. There are some cables on the floor, so there are some contributing factors here. So do you think the hazard will occur? With these contributing factors, the risk will be much, much higher. So any other hazards could happen, from thunderstorm like striking or being struck, harmful contact with objects, sharp objects, or caught in or between movable objects, falling, pushing, pulling, lifting, lowering, or bending. So all these could be different resources for hazards we need to evaluate and analyze. Culture, workplace culture and structure. So if we need to wear PPEs, so this is the culture. We must wear that always there. And in this area, if someone forgets his or her hard hat, we remind them what language is used there. Sometimes in some organization, English only speaking, because if someone is asking for help in a different language I don't understand maybe, or I can't really help them, we need to maintain the culture diversity, because this also can create a risk. If you used some words or hand gestures or body language that might offend me, so this could create some hazards, some psychological ones, or even some conflicts, or even we fight. So we need to understand that different languages could lead also to, or different understanding could lead to issues. Workers with specific needs, shift work and rostering arrangements, because this will create some stress, timing and information, timing of information and data provision. So when we need to report about this hazard immediately, in most cases, report to whom? Is it a system or phone call or email or web portal? What? Literacy and numeracy levels, someone can't read. So if there are posters on the wall and they don't know how to read them because of language barrier, or they don't know how to read, or dyslexia, or whatever, any reason, so we need to make sure of that. Management approach, how we will tackle these differences. if someone say something offensive because they don't understand my background, so this could lead to problems in the workplace, could create a hazard. So the size of the organization, geographic size, hierarchical, the workplace culture and approach to work health and safety. Is it a normal thing to wear gloves? Or it is just written there that we need to wear gloves, but we don't apply that. We don't use that. Like in many restaurants, in food courts or just any restaurant, I can see in many cases the people, they don't wear gloves and or masks or masks. So this is not the correct instructions we have in the place. So this could lead also to contamination, some issues, and I'll tell you something. When I go to, let's say, Subway, and they are wearing gloves, they served the previous customer with some ham or pork, I need them to remove these gloves, replace the gloves with new ones, because I don't want my food to be contaminated with traces of pork or ham, because I don't eat them. It's against my beliefs. I don't like it. Something like that. When I go to, so some restaurants, they should have some vegetarian options because I'm vegetarian. I'm giving you examples here. Or go to some place to have some drinks. I don't drink alcohol. So if something with alcohol traces, I cannot drink it. If steak prepared with some wine or whiskey, I can't eat it, and so forth, because of the traces of alcohol there. So understanding this culture, understanding that it's important. During the month of Ramadan, we have 1.5 billion Muslims. They are not eating or drinking from dawn till sunset. So maybe eating in front of a Muslim or drinking water or keep talking about food, this is something could annoy them in a way. So we need to understand about that. We need to know our team. We need to know different cultures. Handshaking with Indian ladies, for example, they don't handshake. With some ladies from some countries, they don't handshake. In Egypt, for example, when I see my friend and I didn't see my male friend for a week or something, I will hug him, kiss him on the cheeks. Here, it is not, this culture is not here at all. If you see me doing something like that, you will think in a different way. So different cultures, we need to understand that. We don't need to create some issues. For some Sikh, for example, they wear turban, and how can they wear the hat above the turban? They need to remove the turban. They need to wear the hard hat. So we need to discuss that. Some we don't need to wear some shirts with offensive wordings or logos. It's against the policy in most organizations. So one day I will tell you something. It's real thing happened. One day I was working in a company, and one of the employees, he came in the IT department where I was working, wearing a shirt with pyramids, and under that it's saying it was built by slavery, but this is not correct. It wasn't built by slavery. So it's I myself, I felt offended. And I discussed that with him. It is a wrong thing, and we never had this delivery there, and it was something I really didn't like. So I had a discussion with him, and he was understandable, and he never worded it again. So it was really good. So we need to think about that. Work shifts, also long ones, can create stress. Communication skills, not everyone can communicate as the same way or at the same level of others. So this could happen. Just a moment. So yeah, I was telling you about the communication skills. Sometimes you ask someone to present something, and this person really, they have this fear of public speaking. So pushing them to do so, it is not the right thing. Maybe train them and discuss the matter with them before pushing them to do something like that could be a good idea. So there are many things could happen that can create hazards in the workplace. And yeah, in many situations, you feel that it is not really fair practice. So you have the fair laws and regulations, but applying that or practicing that, sometimes it is not fair. So we need to make sure of following the rules and regulations every time. I hope this is clear. Any questions here? Okay. So risk assessment, we identify the hazards on site or related to the work. So you will need to assess the risk level. So here we have the consequence. How bad will it be if the hazard causes harm? If someone slipped on the floor? Likelihood. So what is the chance of the hazard causing harm? So how many people can slip on this water or electricity or oil or something? So consequence, likelihood. Probability, impact. So when you multiply probability times impact, this will give you the hazard rate. Okay, so we have checklist here. Risk assessment may include any discrepancy between current controls and required standard and quality of control, current controls and their adequacy, identification and analysis of factors contributing to risk, prioritization or ranking of risk where appropriate. So the risk of paper cut, it's just the totally different risk than getting electrocuted or water slipping. So we have risk analysis, and based on the two factors we were discussing, how many times that this risk can happen, and if it happens, what is the consequence? What is the impact? So if we have one earthquake happens yearly, yes, it's once, but the impact is huge. If we have small earthquakes or storms, so we have the likelihood of storms here, then the impact going high or moderate. So you can have, if the impact of the storm is catastrophic, so you see the extreme risk factor. So we have this matrix to evaluate the risk. So we can know really the impact of this risk and the priority of that risk. So if it's rare, so the likelihood is rare, consequence is insignificant, so it's low risk, then until we reach almost certain that this risk will happen, this thunderstorm will happen, and it can kill or cause permanent disability or illness. So this is an extreme risk. So we think about that in camps, in trips, in different actions. So here it's giving you also some examples. So we hazard that has a major consequence and is almost certain to occur has a risk level of extreme here, like long-term illness or serious injury. Here, medical attention and time of work, first aid required, insignificant. So we can think about that. Did that make sense? Yeah. This risk matrix, it's very important to understand risk matrix, and we apply that in different situations, in different work areas, even though on individual basis, personal level, if you are doing something at home, fixing something at home or in your backyard, maybe risk analysis will be a great tool to help you about before doing any task. So here we evaluate the risk. We discussed this point already. And now we have the risks sorted. So extreme, so it's unacceptable. We are not doing this task. We are not going this trip. We are not fishing during a storm. So canceling the task immediately. High, also it's unacceptable risk level. So if you want to reduce the risks, we implement controls. So we implement controls if we can reduce the risk. Sometimes we can't. Like, for example, if there is a storm, they tell you, make sure you don't have loose items in your backyard. Make sure you park your car inside a garage. So because of hail damage, to avoid that risk, if you need to protect your car from also getting stolen, put it in your garage. Make sure your home is secure, you have alarm, you have cameras, you have so and so. So we implement controls, and these controls, as we discussed also in different units, we have 3 types of controls. So we have physical controls like cameras, dogs, security gates at airport, and so forth. Fire alarm, smoke alarm. So these are physical controls. Locks, we have administrative controls. So we tell people no smoking to reduce the fire risk. We tell people camera in place. So we tell them about that. So they don't really do silly stuff. Sometimes we have technical controls like encryption or backup or password and so forth. Okay, so we have different controls in place. Implementing these controls will reduce the risk. If I'm going to swim, so I need to check whether this area is safe to swim. There is no strong waves or tide, or also I know how to swim. My kids, they know how to swim. So this will reduce the risk. We might need to wear life jackets and so forth. So implementing different controls will reduce the risk. If we have some legislation there, some standards, codes of practice, monitoring and controlling safe work procedures, we are following that, and we are all responsible for that. If I'm seeing one of my work colleagues smoking inside the campus, so I should discuss with her, no, you couldn't really do that. It affects health. It's against rules and regulation. It can create fire hazard. So if they don't listen, I can escalate that. So it depends on the policy. So we need to follow. Okay. What are the 5 key areas of hazards in the workplace? Anyone can help with that? Okay, biological, chemical, physical, mechanical, and psychological. Yes, good. Craney asking, can we use more than 3 steps within the hierarchy of controls? For example, elimination, substitution, engineering, administration, PPE. Definitely yes. We can use more than 3. Yes, definitely. Mitigation, we transfer the risk. So like insurance, car insurance. So having the car insurance will not prevent accidents, but it will help you with the cost of accidents. So yes, thank you everyone for your inputs. Yes, good answers. Any questions? Any questions? Okay. So we deserve a 10 minutes break. I'll stop recording and we deserve a break. Thank you.